Well, there, everybody. How are y'all doing on this fabulous Wednesday? Good to see everyone. Well, all right, we've had this conversation before, so we're not going to have it no more, but it's good to see everyone in the chat room and everyone listening. I'm sure you're looking beautiful. So there we go. I also hear myself coming and going, so that's a good sign. Um, yeah. So, hello everybody in the chat room. Mr. Bentley, who's right at the feet of my my feet, he's doing just fine. He says to tell you hello. And let me get this, I'm pulling the bus out and there it is. Hey, Steiger, you're looking good, dude. Yeah, 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 I am. Well, hey, listen, if you can't pat yourself on the back, who's going to, right? So, welcome. Speaking favor over us all, nothing missing, nothing broken, as we like to say, because had a great conversation with Dr. Sai. Look at the comment section on yesterday's video. Uh, really appreciate, there's a proverb that says, iron sharpens iron. So sharp minds make your mind sharper. And that's what I love about this group. And finally, please, I mean, you need to say this every morning you get up, every evening before you lay your head and depart to the next realm. Be kind to your mind. Yeah. Because, your mind, when you think about it, we really don't understand it. We don't even understand consciousness. What is consciousness? How do you define that? By what parameters? And by what observation do you say that, consciousness is? But hey, we got to figure it, we got to be something. So consciousness is really cool, but it's complex, it's layered. And by that, I mean either the body has its own autonomous system that it really doesn't need the mind, but actually it does. And yeah, so there's different levels. We all know that. Hello, everybody in the chat room. How is everybody? I never get the chance sometimes just to say thank you all. Corey, saw your comments earlier. Love that. Chloe, how you doing? Speaking prosperity on you. Um, yeah. Just going through here. Go, go. Good to see you. Hey, Gilbert, haven't seen you in a while. Y'all know, remember Gilbert Smith? He's out there in Denver. And so, you know, Gilbert, we miss you. Get back into the group. Emperor Rex, good to see you. And thank you, Gogo. You make the audience much more wider. And so we appreciate you. Gaia, how are you? Um, yeah. It's really interesting, Guy, because this type of topic you can see by the views or how YouTube really doesn't, I don't know, whatever. But it's not a popular topic. That's cool. It just means it's more for us. That's the way I look at it. So, much love to you and Paul. Nina, how are you doing? We'll be with her and Robert V over on Sunday. Looking forward to that. Operation Crossroads. What's up, Dave Sullivan? How are you, brother? Stephanie Marie, voiceovers. Yeah. How are you? Maria, good to see you. Ba-da-da-da. Loretta, what's up, darling? Females are angels. Yeah. Fabulous handle, by the way. Absolutely. Colleen, what's up, darling? Good to see you. Rick, how are you doing, brother? Good health, I trust. Lost in space, what's up? Jargo, you know, Ariel, how are you? Bosto, be of service to others. Yeah, that's the way to go. Um, yeah, females are angels. You'll love this conversation. We're gonna have fun with it. DC, good to see you. And Bonnie, hello. So, what else is happening? Lots. Um, World seems to be going wonky, but actually it always has been. We just think it's something new. I was thinking about this very thing, talking about the goddess Fortuna. And as I was pontificating, looking into the woods, I can recall a time in my reality, and I was pretty well assured that that was the right reality, it never entered into my consciousness the feminine. I was a born again, tongue talking, baptized in the Holy Spirit Christian. And I never even considered that, well, how could it be just the male God? Now, all my life, even in Bible school, they will try to excuse this and say, well, Wayne, the word is Elohim, and Elohim can be both the masculine and the feminine. Kiss my ass. If that was the case, it would have said it. And by the way, you're not Jewish, neither am I. And so why are we making claim to a language that, wait a minute, may have not been the original language? And no matter how you carry the story forward, it was always the male. I firmly believed in my heart that God the Father, you know, because that's what the male Savior told me, and subsequently my peers. And throughout my life, as I look back and I went, wow, darkness has many different shades. We just think that, we're enlightened. Not sure how that fully is defined, and, you know, I look back on relationships and encounters, never considering that there was a goddess. It was foreign to me. All the women I knew were of the same mind worm. The feminine, the goddess aspect never was considered, never studied, never spoken about, never sung about. I was completely devoid of the most minuscule amount of understanding there had to be a goddess. You can't have a god without a goddess. It's impossible. It's unbalanced. It's unrealistic. It's unhuman. It's ungodly. But yet, the vast majority of humanity never considers it, never talks about it. And if you are one of the fortunate, the lucky, who do have and possess such knowledge, you are truly marked as a special one. The knowledge of the goddess is a unique privilege few humans ever consider, and even fewer ever endow to study. I was always brought up by what Paul said, study to show yourself approved, right? Well, okay, if it works in that genre, then it would work over here as well. And you have to study because the world will not teach you. If you go by what the world is saying, you're lost. You might as well just put, on your mail, return to sender, because you're coming back. Now, the day that you awake from that is the day of your liberation. It is truly the first day that you can say that you are alive. But again, never ever considered. Yeah, I can remember back in the times when I would get into intercessory prayer, praying in tongues. And, you know, Paul said, my spirit prayeth, but my mind thinks. My mind doesn't know what my spirit is saying. And that's what I went by. So, you could be speaking in tongues and, utterances of the angelic, the light language. And your mind, actually, it's interesting because here's where the occult comes in. That pineal gland, what we didn't understand was that even in the aspect of speaking in tongues, it activates it more. And when you get used to it and disciplined enough in it, you can actually have this split spatial perspective of reality. You know, it's weird. But my whole point to that is I never even considered the Holy Spirit feminine. It wasn't taught that way. It wasn't part of the Trinity. But it's odd today as I look back on the former religion how they're trying to scramble now and say, well, now wait a minute, the divine feminine has always been there. You just didn't have the eyes to see or the ears to hear. Okay, sure. Whatever you say, Jack. It works just fine. Because of course not. If you're never taught, then you can't conceive the divine feminine. I actually remember a preacher in a Sunday sermon where he was damning Mother Nature. It was an abomination unto God to have any Christian think that Mother Nature was feminine. And there's that thread of truth that runs through that because that's what they teach. And subsequently, if you're under that teaching, you will become right in the frequency zone and you're going to begin to vibrate like what is teaching. And thus it's propagated going forward. Sucks, doesn't it? Hello, Barbara. How are you doing? Looking at all the beautiful people out there. Um, and so for me, this channel is my journey. It's almost a daily diary of where I am in this journey. And subsequently, there are thousands and thousands of videos that have that, which is very unique when you think about it. Just on a sociological experiment, it's interesting because our ancestors, for the most part, were never heard, never really remembered. And very few are the ones whose words are so-called quoted and written down for posterity's sake. Well, that's changed in the information age. Now, when I cross over, and whether that's 10, 20 years, whatever it is, there's going to be this record of me. Quite unique. And no matter how the future goes out, somewhere in the vastness of reality, there will be that small corner where all this digital data is going to exist. Yeah. Even now to think that my image, so I'm creating in my image, and this image is being broadcast out into outer space. Gets even weirder, doesn't it? Hello, Deborah. How are you? Not awake yet, honey? Well, good morning, good morning. That's what we're saying to you. You remember the Beatles song? I think was that on Sergeant Pepper's? Yeah, I believe it was, or the Magical Mystery Tour. Come on, help me out there. Truth call. Ain't that the truth, right? Well, in a certain sense, so have you, because you know, um, I speak your name, so well, your handle, but it still represents. Um, so getting back to this whole thing, and I'm sitting and I'm going, wow. And I sense within my spirit I'm making up lost time. I want to get to know this. And this video diary here, it has documented the experience I had, what was nearly 4 years ago, I guess 4 or 5, um, with Lilith. And did that change my whole reality, whole perception? And suddenly, born within me was this empathy that I had never known before as a male. and it struck deep. And it was as if I was immersed um, into the waters of understanding and realizing there's this huge part of humanity that's missing. Humanity will never unify itself until it unifies both the male and the female on a conscious wide, species wide level. To where instead this false religion that's preached throughout the world, that begins to fade away and replace back. Now, not to say that it doesn't have a purpose, but it's unbalanced. And so humanity is going to have to relearn what that balance is. We're just ahead of the curve. That's one thing in my professional career. I was inventing things that was ahead of the curve. So we're all a part of this. And I have no doubt that this momentum is going to increase. To say that the intelligent men and women of the Roman era were somehow ignorant, that they didn't understand physics, they didn't understand theology, they didn't understand philosophy, is a lie. It's a complete misrepresentation. Now, if you had those intelligent people at that level, far exceeding what we have today, it's a travesty. They came out yesterday that we have the teenagers now are a bunch of dumbasses, is what it's saying. The test scores, the average senior now can't read past a third grade level. The average senior now graduating high school does not have a basic command of mathematics. And that goes with English. They don't know how to spell, they don't know how to write. They cannot read cursive writing. It's a foreign tongue to them. So to compare that with the men and women of everyday Rome, and let's step further back. Let's go into the Grecian Empire. Enlightenment was as common as it was to breathe. Here, it's very difficult to find. And the whole point to that is, if they knew these gods, goddesses, and they worshiped them, they made shrines to them, it really hasn't changed, because the religions of the world, the modern era, they merely bastardized the more pure religions of yesteryear. And if these men and women, world leaders, Vespasian, Augustus, Julius, I mean, how far you want to go? I find that they had a deeper spirituality than we do today. They had more time to themselves. They didn't have the white noise, the cacophony of confusion. It was quiet. They knew what quiet is. We don't know what quiet is today. There's virtually no place on this planet you can't go that there's not a jet or there's something. And the point to that is, if these men and women, dare I say even children, could contemplate on a level that we have difficult achieving, and it came quite naturally to them, and they were in communion with these unseen deities, how's that any different than what I experienced for 50 years in one particular religion? They knew something. And when humanity stops worshiping this male, monotheistic, patriarchal usurper, it will die as it tried to kill the goddesses. Because when we stop acknowledging them, they stop living. Now, thought forms continue to exist, but we energize them. It's the unique thing. And so, as we learn to recognize that which has been taken away and begin to seek balance again, I don't think there's a greater mission that any man, woman, human being could ever want to do. So, they worshiped these gods and goddesses. To them, they were real. You read and you get more into it, into the history. You've got to put your mind, if you can, in what it would be like for you living, let's say, 67 BCE. And let me paint you a picture as we go forward. It's 67. Let's advance it. No, let's say no, 60 is a good one. 67 BCE, you're in Rome. You have a villa. The empire is prospering. The gods have favored Rome itself, exalted it to the heights and level of that which was achieved by the Greeks. The Greeks are your brothers. You learned a lot from them. You are educated. You have a vast understanding of science. You have even a greater understanding of what the unseen world is like. Now, it's a warm afternoon. It's about 90 degrees, but it's a dry heat. You have the drapes on your vasilla and the breeze is coming through, and you're sitting either with your spouse or you could actually sit with your peers and you are discussing the gods, the goddesses, how to get their favor. You may be a part of a council. You may even be a part of the Senate. And the Senate in Rome, back in that day, the gods and goddesses were a very big deal. You did not make the unfortunate error of not recognizing the gods, which includes the goddesses. There was not a house or dwelling that does not have an idol of one nature or the other. Every household. You would find the same in the public square. And then on this particular occasion, the discussion of the goddess Fortuna has come up. Now, this gets real serious with everyone in the room because she is highly revered. She is, in essence, she is the cornucopia of many other gods and goddesses. She's endued with their power. And her temples are wide and spread throughout the empire. Now, if that's the case, I would say if we're of a mere cognitive intelligence, we might want to read because it's very easy as you see the world and humanity involved. When this God system, this religion system came in, what did it do to the world? Anyone in the chat room, do you know what it did to the world? What did we call that period of time? The Dark Ages. They took the light away, and the light is the goddess. There's only darkness if she has been absent, if she has been hid. So let's get in our journey. People are talking about the dentist. I don't understand how you get in that kind of conversation about, but hey, I'm not involved in the chat room. I don't know. I mean, it's like, okay. Are y'all even listening? I mean, that's the question I'm wondering here. Are you even listening? Um, Apparently, there's something more important. Yeah. Okay. I could just end the show and we could just I could just send you all the PowerPoint and information on this. But anyway, um, to each his own. The chat room has its own energy and its own vibe. That's all I gotta say. I really don't understand that. I don't understand. But anyway, let's get back into focus in on that. Whoa. Um, and you see, and that's my point. There's no reverence when she's mentioned. I say, but that's rather rude, isn't it? Think about it. Um, Mary White says, I'm listening. I know. Just joking, folks. Got to have a sense of humor. You know, the broader and depth of your sense of humor, the higher your intelligence. That's what they say. So, getting back to this goddess, I mean, for me, this is a revelation. It's an epiphany every day that I study, every day that I learn to talk to her. Uh, Listen, I talked to an unseen male deity multiple times in my life. I mean, I would spend an hour each morning before everybody was out in prayer. So if I can show that kind of devotion to this male deity that, well, obviously there's this whole other side now, well, it tells me that mm, I want to show the same respect. If you've got bad mojo in your life, if you're struggling financially, if you're finding a lack of opportunity, would it make sense to kind of re-examine things? If things are not working, then why continue with it? So the goddess Fortuna, she's still worshipped today. That's what I find so interesting is that here in the age of technology and AI, and where humans can no longer think because they're talking to a machine and fascinated by what the machine is telling them. That's a soothsayer, I'm just saying. Yet, in the midst of all this revolution, there's this remnant. She's still alive today. She is still as vibrant as she was yesterday. And the thing about it is, testimony will back this up. If you find favor with her, your days of struggling, what have you, will become fewer and fewer. What's interesting is that it's never spoken about, but some of the most powerful today, in fact, worship her. Fortuna. Now, the name Fortuna is, how should we say, it's in some cases a catch-all for others, and we'll see that. But yeah, love this gal. Here's what she's represented by. And Jenny, I keep on thinking about the cars with Trina yesterday. It's just um, huge symbolism here, just huge symbolism, just everywhere around. And for me, when I get in my moments of what I call the daydreaming meditation, I can go there. There's no distance that I can't go. I find myself almost wanting to be at the foot of her presence because I want to be real sure that I'm in no way offensive. I don't believe she would take offense, but there is that other part of her. But there is wisdom. Now, here's what is the interesting thing. I study the book of Proverbs. It took me over a year. I wrote every word, used the Greek, used the Latin, did the definition. So I know the book of Proverbs pretty well. And it's interesting because the first three chapters of the book of Proverbs is about this woman. And I suddenly began to click things off. I'm going, holy crap. If Solomon wrote this, the first number of books in Proverbs, and if he was supposedly the smartest guy that ever was, I mean, he was definitely rich. They paved the streets in Jerusalem with silver because there was that much gold. But anyway, I digress. And you can fact check me on this, it says the beginning of wisdom is to obtain wisdom. And it goes on to say that wisdom, was his daily delight. Wisdom is feminine. Wisdom is the goddess. And all those decades, it was always a conundrum for me. Why did Solomon call wisdom she, the feminine? And the only way that she could be in her proper place in that setting is that she had to be a goddess. Now, I may not be the brightest bulb in the pack, but I'll tell you what, I can see that one pretty I can connect the dots real quick on this for myself. And I'm going, holy crap. And so, the first thing that I had to do, I had to apologize. Yeah? You're not so big that you can't apologize to the unseen gods and goddesses. You'd be wise to do that. You know, when I got back in the 80s into politics and particularly in filming the candidates, I actually had to go to an etiquette class and learn protocol and etiquette. When you're in the presence of the President of the United States, there is a protocol, there is a decorum, there's an etiquette. And if you don't follow that, people will look at you as though you're ignorant. And you don't want that. You want to be able to say, I have an understanding. But my point being, um, yeah, wisdom. So I know what a son of a bitch the male god is. And what I identified with Lilith was that I saw through Lilith's eyes. And if you can have the empathy and compassion for what the goddess has been subject to, yeah, it changes your whole perspective. So she is adored, has been for way before the Jesus character ever came. She predates that myth by thousands of years. She is the epitome of what love is in all its variations. She is indeed the antithesis of the patriarchal God. He's afraid of her, has been from the very beginning. And I had this strange thought, this quiet whisper, you hear in the halls of your spirit. And I heard, it's all part of the plan. I don't believe that she would have allowed what happened to her unless she had a plan because she's smarter than he is. He can only function half. Without her, he's incomplete. And thus so is the ethereal realms. Her depiction, again, it's amazing when you look at the modern art. She's still revered. And I don't know about you, but you can't, I mean, if you're not feeling a certain empathy, then I can dig that. I can. But for myself, there's just this, wow, it's like being on a lake and there's no motion. It's perfectly still. It's in that solitude that you find the deepest feelings. Again, you can see how she's represented through the eons, the millennia. This is one of the surviving temples outside of Rome. I believe, as I have studied, they found, I think, some 19 shrines, um, some in not so good repair, but hey, tell me how you would look after 2,100 years. So her temple is in central Rome, alongside several other shrines outside of Rome, and on the banks of the Tiber, there were several shrines of Fortuna situated throughout Rome. And as I've been reading some of these are college textbooks, but the history of them, it's fascinating because I think this is all I have to this. Yeah. So I found this interesting. This is a shrine inside someone who gets it. There is, the rumors in the backside that this is was taken in a room of a very, very wealthy, 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 wealthy person. Um, they get it. And I got to tell you, I kind of dig it. I mean, it's like, yeah, I mean, someone gave this a lot of thought. And I kind of figure it's like this. Okay, I don't know everything. I don't know a lot of things, but I do know this. And when I see something that has gone to this length, to this manner of detail, and if I'm into the pursuit of knowledge, of understanding this goddess, then I should pay attention to some of her followers because they get it. And just as a simple wager on the side, I would say, would you bet against me that this person who erected this shrine isn't worried about where their next meal's coming from? Doesn't have to fly commercial? You just study this. There's so much going on here. I'm going, wow. I mean, seriously, it set me aback, and I went, Steiger, are you picking up on this dude? And I'm going, holy crap. Now this is dedication. And I know what dedication produces. So anyway, just thought y'all would love to see that. For me, that was like, wow. I mean, seriously. Um, I'm just reading it. So here I am back in the chat room. But anyway, um, but yeah, to me, that is freaking remarkable. And getting into, good gracious, I have so much here. Um, okay, let's go into this direction. So, a cursory travel inquiry into one of the other gods, that's a search engine, they're gods, demigods. Um, Even on the mechanical side, I mean, but anyway. So you can quickly find out she has quite the history to her. She was the Roman goddess of fortune and luck, holds a significant place in ancient mythology. I always love this. Her name derives from the Latin word fors, meaning chance or luck, embodying the unpredictable nature of both good and bad fortune. The Romans believed that Fortuna governed the fate of individuals and destiny of entire nations. Her influence extended beyond mere luck, encompassing the unpredictable swings of life from prosperity to disaster. It's real interesting. Another paper we'll be reading. Do you know who her most ardent followers were? The Roman legions, the soldiers. And you think about this, it kind of makes sense, right? I mean, yeah, you know, are you entertained? Um, let's see, depictions of Fortuna often show her with a variety of symbols, and symbols are important. And I got to tell you, I went out and I'm making something, but I also went out and bought a number of things that, you know, yeah, these symbols. I dig it, man. I got it. So anyway, um, the Wheel of Fortune, one of her most recognizable symbols, represents the constant turning of life's events, which can lift people up or bring them down. I can bring you up. I can bring you down. And in her other hand, Fortuna frequently holds a cornucopia, symbolizing abundance and the bounty that she can provide when fortune smiles. What do we call that? Favor. Again, you approach these deities, might want to speak a little favor. It's kind of universal. It's not, it's like you really can't offend a deity, I have found, by speaking favor, even some of the most nastiest ones. I mean, number one, they find it very odd for us humans in this form to do that. Yeah. So, it says artists sometimes portray her as blindfolded, signifying her impartiality, highlighting how she dispenses fortune without regard to merit or status. So stop and think about this for a second. So in the United States, we have this justice system, and we were taught it was Lady Justice who is blindfolded with the scales. Really, what Lady Justice is the goddess Fortuna everywhere, but we're blinded by it. We know we've been taught not to recognize that. Wow. See, worship in ancient Rome, Fortuna's worship involved intricate rituals and devotions reflecting her vital role as the goddess of luck and fortune. I mean, face it, it's not bad to have good fortune in your life, because good fortune, if it's managed properly, can extend to the rest of your life. It says the Romans established various shrines and temples in her honor, such as the Temple of Fortuna in Rome, which stood as a grand tribute to her power over fate. Well, there's a little answer for us, destiny or fate. I think fate is, merely dictated by destiny. And destiny can be changed, which means fate can be changed. Or thus the reasoning mind would say. Her most significant festivals, the Fortuna, the Publica of the populous Roman holiday, occurred annually on June 24th. Interesting. Where Romans gathered to seek her blessings and protection for both personal and communal prosperity. Now, that's something that I don't see happening in neighborhoods. Neighbors coming all out and coming together and invoking the goddess Fortuna and asking for her favor and fortune and prosperity upon the neighborhood, the community. Maybe that could be a way to start combating the crime problem. Because the current way that we're trying to fix it ain't working. Just saying. Priests conducted rituals at her temples, lighting incense and offering fruits, grains, sacrifices, hoping to ensure her favor. Little heads up. Silver, if you have any. Gold, if you have any. And a lot of y'all got it yesterday. The chocolate really, and I mean good chocolate. Don't buy that crappy imitation, right? Um, Women held a unique relationship with Fortuna and often turned to her for blessings in matters of fertility, marriage, and family well-being. Fortuna virilis, a specific aspect of the goddess, received devotion primarily from women seeking harmony in relationships or stability in the home. Women conducted private rituals by bathing statues of Fortuna in milk and offering sweet cakes or honey. If they had had chocolate back then, they would have given her chocolate. I'm just telling you. And nothing wrong with honey. And I can imagine that the sweet cakes, I'm going to have to look up and see if that recipe ever, did it survive these thousands of years? Um, could be like sweet cornbread. That's pretty good. Anyway, the practice symbolizes their desire for nurturing and protective influence in their lives. In some accounts, young women would carry small statues or amulets of Fortunas as charms to bring good luck in marriage and motherhood, like this one. And you'd be surprised that they're not cheap. But hey, yeah. Let's see. The Wheel of Fortune's most recognized symbol became a focal point in rituals associated with the goddess. This wheel, depicted in art and used in rituals, symbolized life ever-turning cycle of fortune. People would spin symbolic wheels during ceremonies to symbolize surrendering control and acknowledging her dominance over fate. These ritualistic spins reinforced the idea that fortune could shift unpredictably, and individuals invoke her to guide the wheel in their favor, praying for stability and good fortune. Roman soldiers and generals held Fortuna in high regard, frequently seeking her protection and blessings before heading into battle. In these military rituals, soldiers would gather around altars dedicated to Fortuna Redu, the aspect of Fortuna associated with safe returns and victory. Commanders made offerings of animals or valuable items and recited prayers to ensure Fortuna's goodwill. Soldiers often wore amulets or engraved Fortuna symbols on their weapons, believing that these actions would bring them success and shield them from harm. Before embarking on campaigns, entire legions sometimes participated in elaborate rites to ask the goddess to favor their endeavors. Well, I think at some point the Romans pissed her off because in the beginning they couldn't lose. Wow. You're gonna love this stuff, folks. I don't know about you, but it's like, yeah. Um, let's see. Superstitions and Fortuna's role in daily life. Fortuna inspired numerous superstitions in Roman society where people constantly sought signs of her favor or displeasure. Romans believed that certain actions or omens could signal Fortuna's presence. For example, finding a coin or stumbling upon an unexpected wealth was thought to indicate her blessings. As again, Goddess Fortuna, I ask for your forgiveness. I didn't realize that you were with me all those times. I thought it was the other dude, and come to find out, all he wanted was, my money. Anyway, many Romans avoided making grand declarations about their future successes, fearing she might punish such displays of overconfidence. Always keep yourself humble, right? That's the message I'm getting. Always be humble, Steiger. Always. Yeah. Just saying. People developed rituals like knocking on wood or whispering prayers to ensure Fortuna's continued favor and prevent any unforeseen reversal of fortune. Now, it's interesting because, again, just extrapolate forward on this. You can begin to see, like the gypsies, you can begin to see how other cultures in the same type of beliefs, superstition, most of humanity is superstitious. It's superstitious of itself. Um, but how that influence never really died. It just was adaptable. Um, Obviously, in agricultural would make sense, and I can tell you right now, the farmers in our part of the country, if they knew that they could make a offering of their crops in some manner to seek the goddess Fortuna's blessing, I think that she could have some influence in opening the skies up and bringing forth rain. It's a serious situation here in the Midwest. And again, it's like if the God you're praying to right now ain't answering, well, fire him. There's someone who could do the job. Why not? I mean, to continue to do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result is insanity. How about for gambling? You know, the two unfortunate souls that had that money, and again, for me, in my wisdom, I wouldn't want it. That brings it brings in more demons and more it's the weight of the world on your shoulder. It is the thing about wealth, that kind of wealth, sudden wealth, um it crushes bones, man. I mean, yeah, I wish those people the best. It's something I wouldn't want to have to deal with, quite frankly. And it's the proverb that says a rich man worries about being stolen from, whereas a poor man can sleep at night in peace. Yeah. Romans associated Fortuna's closely with games of chance, as they believed she ruled out over outcomes that involved luck and risk. Gamblers would invoke her name before placing bets, hoping that she would smile upon them and bring them success. Holy crap, you can go in any casino and see the same thing happen. They may not be calling her by her name, but it's the same thing. I often wonder if it's someone, because it happens. If you've ever been in a casino, you can see it, or maybe you've done it as well. Um, you don't know the God's name that you're really calling upon, and so you're just kind of throwing it out there into the wind. And where at least if you're speaking Fortuna, and you could even learn her Latin name as well. I mean, yeah, just remember to recognize her. If that fortune comes and she smiles, it's always good to pass it forward. By that, share your good fortune and your wealth with others. Not all of it, just some of it. It's a great offering that you know doesn't really require much of you, because remember, she was the one who brought you the good fortune to begin with. Um, Rituals of her honor often took place in gambling houses where gamblers made small offerings of coins to her shrine or statues. Superstitions around Fortuna's presence was particularly common, when gamblers sometimes refusing to play on days deemed unfavorable by omens. The connection between Fortuna and gambling highlighted the Romans' belief in her unpredictable nature, capable of both granting sudden wealth and swiftly taking it away. I often say to those gamblers that when you hit the that streak, walk away. Be thankful. Just walk away. There you go. I just thought that was interesting. So while formal worship of Fortuna diminished with the rise of Christianity, you got to stop and just go, yeah. The introduction to the collective consciousness of humanity of this virus put us in the dark ages for hundreds, and I mean, we still haven't recovered from it. Anyway, many of her associated rituals and superstitions survived in different forms. Modern practices like carrying lucky charms, making wishes on coins, and invoking good luck before challenges all echo the ancient rituals once dedicated to Fortuna, and I declare they still are today. Just because the ones that are performing the ritual do not understand the ritual does not mean that it still does not carry the same power and effect. Um, yeah, through her temples, though her temples may have fallen, the legacy of Fortuna lives on, reminding us that humans still seek the intervention of luck and fortune, much as the Romans once did. These contemporary expressions show that Fortuna's influence persists. They couldn't kill her, they couldn't hide her. You can't do it. It's like the little boy poking his fingers in the dike. No. And then you got folks like us, and moi, where there ain't no going back. I wouldn't want to. There's no way that I want to go back into the matrix, right? Once extrude yourself out of that, and they wouldn't take you anyway. So what do you do? Well, you get a mission. That's what you do. Um, These contemporary expressions show that Fortuna's influence persists embedded in cultural traditions and everyday gestures that reflect our enduring relationship with her. Yeah, there we go. Um, so let's go to the next article. This is the Goddess Fortuna, the Primagena. That's another word for her. The temple within the sanctuary was dedicated to the goddess Fortuna Progenia, fortune of the firstborn, at the same time, mother and daughter of Jupiter. You just got to stop and think, well, okay, how does that work out? But all right, just moving on. Fortuna Primagena is the goddess of fortune and fertility. She was believed to have been born at this site, according to legend. The goddess was born from the rock on which the temple was built, and she was worshipped as a protector of mothers and infants. The sanctuary was one of the most important pilgrimage sites in ancient Rome, and it attracted thousands of devotees each year who came to offer prayers and sacrifices to the goddess. The cult of the goddess, I love that. Every religion's a cult, like all politics is a cult. But anyway, I think just to be all inclusive. The cult of the goddess was associated with the oracle, which occurred through the extraction of the sorties. She's still here today. It's like she really hasn't gone anywhere, which tells me that there is great hope and opportunity in carrying this forward. But anyway, these temples are just quite interesting. I won't get into all of it, but yeah. So, because I want to show some others. By the way, someone asked on the palmistry book, it is this one. If you don't have it in your library, you should get it. It's well worth it. Um, anyway, it just came to mind, so I wanted to get out there. Again, this is the mother of the goddess.com. Yeah, come to find out, I feel like, that the race already started, and I'm just now entering the stadium. I'm going, holy crap, I got to catch up. Uh, but oddly enough, there's more in there. It's like, yeah, I'm the Flash, man. Let's see again. Anything in here? Fortuna Augusta, she who keeps the emperors fortunate and fertile, was an aspect only invoked by the Roman emperors. They kept their personal fortunas in their sleeping quarters, hoping that she would bring good fortune to their reign. That's what I'm talking about. And listen, it's just me because I'm entitled to my opinion. But when I look at someone like Trump, I'm thinking to myself, No, there's another deity involved here. Yeah. Something, and I'm going, hmm. But this just goes to show you, and it typifies the fact that the wealthy, the powerful, they have rituals, they make supplications to goddesses, other gods. Been rumored for as long as I know of with Jagger, you just go, hmm. But this shows that this is not new. And so if the wealthy are the wealthy because, of chance by families and what have you, listen, I may not be, again, the brightest bulb in the pack, but the light is going off and going, well, what if I emulated what they're doing? What would be better if beyond emulation? What if I actually gained the knowledge? Then I don't have to emulate anyone because there's obviously a process to this. It's just not, random chance, right? I love this. There is Fortuna Ballinaris. Fortuna of the baths also corresponds with Fortuna, the Salutaris, who is the health bringing Fortuna. I think that would probably fit well into the chat room earlier. And you too, I'm just teasing you, but here, how fortuitous, right? The healing bringing Fortuna. Why wouldn't she bring healing? I was told that the male cat did. I was told that, I could lay hands on people. It's right there in the book. I wonder where they got that from. But it makes sense. The laying on of hands is not something that's just with, the spooky, or the, mystical aspect of a religion. There's power in these hands, right? But there's again in the names. This aspect of Fortuna was frequently found in military bathhouses, especially as the Romans were quite focused on good hygiene. Call upon Fortuna Ballinaris and Solitaris to invite good health into your life. Well, there's someone who's looking for a way. Take notes. There's a test at the end of this, and I'm going a little bit over, but I don't care. Fortuna Bona and Fortuna Mala, good fortune and bad fortune. Fortune in itself is neutral territory. It can move up and down, be good or bad. Fortuna Bona is good fortune, and the other side of that figurative coin is Mala, bad fortune. Heads or tails, right? There are other aspects of Fortuna that delineate the positive and negative, as well as the fickle nature of the goddess Fortuna. And there are more names: Brevis, Dubai, Fons Fortuna, the lucky chance, Fortuna Minus, enduring fortune, certainly to a more favorable form to call. You gotta love this stuff, folks. I want to hurry up because I know, who knows, I may pick this up tomorrow because Mike and Cindy are actually, they only had an opportunity to get their dogs trained, and so y'all know how that can be. So we'll get together the next week after that, and we're like, geez, we were all like, okay, we'll catch up, next week. Here's some of the qualities that she brings in your life. Get yourself a Fortuna figurine. If you can't find one, you can use any female figurine instead. When thinking about your goals and dream, hold this figurine tightly in your hands, you know, like this. And you can also hold it when meditating. Let this figurine become the symbol of your fortune. Surround yourself with Fortuna symbols. For example, you can wear golden jewelry or get a pet rabbit. I thought that. Whatever reminds you of this goddess is a good choice. Also, remember that both bad and good luck are part of life. Don't despair when you have bad luck. It's just part of the process. But the thing I have found, madam, is that even when I thought it was bad luck, embedded in that bad luck was actually the fortune, good fortune. I took it as a loss or, a backward or whatever, but come to find out that wasn't the case at all. Now, if I had kept that perspective of simply one-sided, yeah, it can feed upon itself. But if you realize that even within bad luck, there's luck, to me, that's opportunity, unrecognized opportunity. And yes, it may be sheaved in a different flavor than I would prefer, but it's just the surface. Anyway, that's just me. Um, Now and then, test your luck, play a bingo game, or do something moderately risky. Believe that luck will be on your side. It will. I'm just telling you, this stuff works. This is not a bunch of hoodoo voodoo. This stuff is real. And regardless of how modern society views things, it's embedded in our very freaking foundation of the society. And the reason why they taught us that you don't listen, you don't do this, because they know that if we do, we'll find out what they know, what they were trying to keep us from knowing. You don't have to be a freaking rocket scientist to figure this out. Um, if you want to bring more Fortuna's qualities in your life, consider exploring the exciting world. And I won't go through on that, but that I don't know if I'd recommend that. But testing it sometimes on the level that you're able to handle works. Um, Again, I wanted to see. Here was one aspect I thought was cool about how some of these rituals look like. Here's one creating a sacred space, and I think this is true on most cases. I mean, if you are into deep meditation or uh, channeling, communing with the unseen realm, many of us have our own spaces. Um, so it says to start worshiping the goddess Fortuna, you need to create a sacred space dedicated to her. Choose a quiet and comfortable area in your home where you can focus on your spiritual practice. And by the way, it doesn't have to be a whole room. It can be like literally 12 inches by 12 inches. It works. It's the quiet part. Yeah. Clean the space regularly and fill it with items that represent luck, abundance, and other attributes associated with Fortuna. You can add candles, crystals, and symbols like the cornucopia will to enhance the energy. So I was guided last year to buy a white pumpkin. Now it's very strange because I'll show you, I can't get up, but I'll show you tomorrow. This pumpkin is now almost a year old and it hasn't aged at all. It's a white pumpkin. And my wife was telling me, she said, I've never seen this. I said, I don't know. Sometimes, you just go with your gut. You find out that that's the best way. Offerings are essential part of connecting with the divine and showing gratitude. To honor Goddess Fortuna, consider leaving offerings, food, drink, or other items that have special significance to you. This electric witchcraft article suggests adding fruits as an offering representing abundance and the fruit of your labors coming into the harvest season. You can also, and by the way, that's not just literally, that's also metaphorically. You can also light incense to create an aromatic connection with the goddess. Always approach the offering ritual with respect and humble attitude. Prayer meditation are powerful spiritual tools to deepen the connection with her. Begin by finding a comfortable position. Close your eyes. Many of you already do this. Do the same thing. Just put her in there. I don't see that there's anything else. Significance of worship. The act of worshiping Goddess Fortuna holds great importance for many people across the globe. She never went away. I mean, I feel like I'm like the last guy on the totem pole, you know? You're the 12th person in the deal, you know? It's like, well, what? Um, Known as Tai Chi in Greek, she is the personification of luck and fortune in the Roman religion. By offering prayers and tributes to the goddess Fortuna, devotees seek her blessing for abundance, success, and overall good fortune in their lives. In ancient times, Fortuna was worshipped extensively in Italy and had several temples in Rome. She was honored in various ways, ranging from being a personal goddess overseeing the fates of individuals to a state goddess who was ensured the fortune of the populace and the emperor. Worshipping Fortuna is not only about seeking material wealth or good luck. How about wisdom? Oh, I guess I'll share that. So, if you're seeking a change in your fortune, don't focus on the material, not at the beginning. Respect this goddess for what she knows and what she is. You would fare very well in your first encounter with her if you would ask her to bless you, favor you with wisdom. Don't ask for anything else. There's a secret being revealed to you here. You will be astounded by what happens next. Many people find harmony and balance in their daily lives by connecting with her essence. Embracing her presence can also deepen your understanding of the inherent uncertainties of life and inspire you to navigate through them with grace and resilience. To effectively connect to the goddess Fortuna, it is helpful to incorporate symbols that represents her divine attributes. Again, the cornucopia, as we talked about. Yeah, so there you go. I thought the rudder was very interesting. I was looking yesterday and saw a small carving that had a rudder, and I went, yeah, I hadn't thought about that, you know. A ball is a good one. And in the modern times, come to find out, you know, maybe we're just late to the party. I don't know. Goodness gracious, where's time gone? Okay, I'll get back over here. There was others on here that there, and there's money angels. You can get into that. I mean, we'll get into that maybe tomorrow. This will be part two. Um, so anyway, do with it what you want. It's your life. You're the you know, the captain in the wheelhouse. I'm just telling you from personal experience, because you know, when you get close to certain golden nuggets, and golden nuggets come in many different sizes and many different weights and many different purities. But often the bigger ones, they're going to be other entities, other deities that are going to challenge you. Because the more wisdom you gain, the more powerful you become. And that's a sign of maturing as a god or a goddess. You could stay with the masses, but why? And, you know, I know many of us come from, you know, a certain religious perspective. Yeah, I come to figure it's like this. I knew what half a century was like. And I really didn't like it. So, whatever time I have remaining here, it's only logical to say, well, if that sucked, what would this be over here? And come to find out, as I began to migrate over to here, the energy was reciprocal. It was completely in harmony, where there was disharmony over here. frequency was all out of whack. Yeah. Ah, thank you, Stephanie. How kind of you. Oh, sweetie, that just humbles me. What I don't know what to say. But thank you. All right. Hey, Gaia, I have to go back and read the chat room. uh, anyway, I hope you found it fun. I hope you found it more than fun. Hope you found it informative. And not that I expect everyone to say, hey, yeah, I'm going to get on this bandwagon. But consider it. We all are influenced by something. All of us are. I just choose what I prefer to be influenced by. I'm influenced by enough that I can't necessarily undo. But I certainly have, while I still have cognitive thought, that I can choose influence that is in harmony with myself. Susie Q, much love to you, darling. Mary Wynn's right back at you. Deborah says it all, so I can take it because I trust Deborah as I trust so many of you, but on her word, she's the most intelligent chant group online. See? That's not my word. That's the ones y'all that are there. So yeah, I love y'all. It's fun, fun, fun. Females are angels. Thank you, my dear. You know, I just tried to listen to her. She's and I got to tell you, it's interesting. The there is a distinct difference between Lilith and what I sense with the Goddess Fortuna. There's unification there, but there is a distinctness of the two. Is that interesting? Why not? I have a feeling that other spirits meet me must have to say, well, he's human, but well, he's not certainly he's certainly distinct, isn't he? Oh, all right, everybody. Sci-fi fantasy girl, thank you. Um, thank you. Yes, yeah, we did talk about her. Yeah. And look what she's done. I tell you, she's a hip chick. I was making dinner for us last night on our anniversary, and I'm in our pantry, and I heard this thing says, "So you think I'm a hip chick, huh?" And I went, "Yeah, I really do." You know, and in my world, it's a high esteem position. I mean, you know, yeah, that's all I got to say. All right, everyone. See you all tomorrow, and we're going to pick back up. I'll just do part two because this is fun, and we'll get into some of these other entities that are aligned with her because there's other goddesses, there's other gods. They're in her camp, and that certainly by no means that we should ignore them. We should be all inclusive. You know, it's more funner when everyone participates. Just saying. All right, have yourselves a fabulous day, everybody, and we'll pick this up on the morrow. Yeah, there we go. Isn't that's yeah. All right.